Yo, we back once again. It's been so long. Episode 3 was like 2 months ago. I hope the one viewer watching, you're still here and are doing well. Let's just show what we did so far. So we added NPC system. So some of the few characters in our game so far now have routine. As you can see, they're in family farm and Kate is at home, and you also have a indicator. And as time passes, they will move to like their perspective routines. Oh yeah, so this is the time system. So I'm doing it kind of like in real life, like 7 days a week. The player are active from 6 to 10, 16 hours, and that's like 960 minutes. And every tick is like, obviously 1 minute. And I'm dividing the game into 4 phases, 4 hours per phase, starting with dawn light, high sun, duskfall, and moon watch. So corresponding to like 6 to 10, 10 to 2, 2 to 6, and 6 to 10. And the NPCs will have a routine like this. Every day, the first hour, they'll be at home, second hour, home, and then they'll be at farm, like that. So that's how the game knows where they should go. And with the time system, let's talk about the bio system, I call it. So you have hunger, thirst, and stamina. And as time passes, naturally your food and water meter will go down. And if you're low on hunger and thirst, your stamina will go down faster. There's some emojis here to describe the state. So if I just inject it a bit, you can see this is kind of bad, and then it gets okay, and then it gets to happy, and once you're above 80%, it's very happy. We can eat items now. If you cook an item, if it's edible food, you can click consume, which will add the stats to your thing. So as you can see, it's 64, 64, 64, and it just increased by a little. Auto eat and auto consume, it will automatically eat. So I toggle this on. So once your food gets to 20%, it will automatically eat the mushrooms, and it's trying to keep you above a bad level. Yeah, so you can have 2 items, one toggle for eat and one toggle for drink. And if you toggle it for eat for this one, it will untoggle it for this one. So, and this is important because we have work in the game now. So this is the updated menu system, and this is the work system. So you can work for a certain amount of time. Each candle is 1 hour, and you can choose for how long you want to work. And once you start working, it start counting down, and you have a candle over here to indicate 3.5 candles. That's 3.5 hours. This is the idling part of the game, but you can interact with this panel over here, and it will speed up the process. So once you get done working, so you see we didn't finish our work because we ran out of stamina. So once you run out of any of these, you're unable to work anymore. So let me just inject it back up real quick. And how it works is that these are the rewards you can get from working. And by choosing how long, this is a very interesting system. So by working, you're getting a weight of 100, and all these different items have different weights to them because the milk and the bread has higher weight. So you have to work for at least 4 hours to possibly get the bread, or 2 hours, or 1 hour to possibly get the milk. And it calculates the reward by your weight, and then it rolls a dice. So as you can see here, some items have colors hovering them. So the white is common, green is uncommon, and there's also blue, which I don't think is in this one. Okay, so perfect. So for fishes, so blue is rare, and yellow is epic, and black is legendary. These indications does not suggest how rare the item is, but how rare you get them from this activity. Let's say we work for 2 hours. and this item is worth like 100. So you get on average $1 or 1 vex for 1 hour of work. And let's do that again. Let's see if we get anything different. Oh wow, we actually got like a legendary item here. That is crazy. Yep, so that's like a very high roll. It's a dice 1 out of 1,000. So this is I guess literally the character icon. Basically it's I want it to be like a friendship system. So you get like 1 friend point or like a favor or whatever. And you can see we got the egg as well. So every time you'll get something different based on like the RNG. So as you can see, we got the egg. And also you can talk to the characters on their panel. So it'll bring up a little like dialogue. I have Monday being a market day, which the farmer and his daughter will go to town. So they will have some special dialogue. And also like in the future, we're gonna add weather, affection meter, and like just a whole bunch of stuff which will override these default dialogue. So as you can see, we can use the mouse and also the keyboard. I really love keyboard integration. So mining and fishing is done a bit differently from like your traditional work. You're getting your rewards simultaneously. So let me showcase how that is done. Let's say we do fishing for like an hour. So every minute it does a check. And we can see the dice is being rolled here. Oh, and we got a rare catch over here. So let's show that again. Oh, so we got this fish this time. So yep, it's immediate there. You can stop, and you can see you got like a fish, and you can't work anymore because it's late. So this is like 6 o'clock. It's moonwatch. So we have to go home. We can't even access these panel anymore, but oh shoot. Oh no, this is a bug. Yeah, I gotta fix this. But anyways, so we have to go home now. We can't even go anywhere, so if it's like late, and we have to sleep. So once you sleep, you get your energies refilled, and the day refreshes, so you can go out and do whatever it is again. Logging. We're gonna put everything into like this UI for now, like all the activities. I believe every 20 minutes, you get a log, something like that. So, oh, and forging. This one's a bit more interesting. So let's juice our bios back up. Essentially, you can do the forging minigame, which is what we already did before. You click somewhere on the thing, fast forward 1 minute, and yeah, I believe forging is 1 out of 10. So every time you hit a 10, you'll get chance at fighting an item. Oh, there it is. We found a stick. And this is interesting because the sticks comes in bundles, like all of these items you get, and same as for mining, you get them in bundles. So this time we got 2 sticks, but the next time we might get like 5 sticks, 7 sticks. So it's a nice little, you know, like just chance stuff. Let's see if we get it again soon. Up there, we got 1 mushroom. That's a bit unlucky. Can we get something else? Oh, I wanted to show that we can get different amount. Okay, truly a forging experience, no? Alright, next one for sure. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got 1 stick this time. Okay, okay, whatever. But that's how it is. And at the end you get a summary, but like all the items is already in your inventory. So in the future, all the other mini games will have something like this. Let's say when you're mining, right? Your stamina will go down a lot faster, because obviously this is like tiring work. So how this works is like whatever activity you choose, there's a certain scaling to balance like the system out. And so we couldn't do too much logging and mining because they're very tiring. Oh, and we can also rest. And when you're resting, your stamina actually goes up. So that's like one way you can recover some stamina throughout the day, or like through eating, but like that was not very too developed yet. So you see here, when we decide to work, we have these options, right? It starts off with barn work and farm logistics. But I'm gonna press a magic button and we'll inject something inside. And now we get field work. So this is pretty interesting because obviously when you start the game, you're not gonna get all of these options unlocked. So by actually progressing the game and like talking to the characters like so, once you like finish talking with them, you can unlock certain locations. So obviously none of these will be available once you start the game. And you see when we talk to these characters, it's like this, right? But something really nice we can do is after certain conditions are met, you can see here Thomas has a exclamation, has a shift 1 on his icon, and same as here. So we talk to his daughter, it does this. But if we talk to him, it will bring up like the visual novel. Pretty cool, yeah? And once you're done talking to him, he returns back to being like same as before. Oh yeah, and one last thing about the farm is that you can buy and sell items. So this is a shop, very bare bones, just like a proof of concept. But you can buy some items from the farm, and it can be purchased into your inventory. Okay, so let's show the selling again. Yeah, you can see how many items you currently have and how much money you're going to get for selling them. So by selling this, we're going to get like $10. The barn, we have animals roaming around and you can collect the eggs. What I'm happy about is like these chickens moving logic, because they move like the DVD player where it bounces at the corner, but their movement is a little random. And if they hit a corner, like so, let me push this chicken over here. Like they will like turn around. Come on. Do you see? Once they hit the edge, like the chicken will turn around. But there's also a chance they will turn because they want to. Okay. And we have a very simple field. Also like a proof of concept, so you can plant stuff. And they will grow based on like time. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And they also grow when you're not watching them. So it's like as long as you're in the game, they will just grow. Yeah, like we either incorporate this into like the barn work, field work minigame, like over here, or later I'm planning to let the player start their own farm and barn in their home. And speaking of home, let's get to home. So we have our storage, which is like similar as before, but now you can fast store items by middle clicking. Pretty cool. We're planning on adding like a workshop, so you can like craft items, and this is also where you'll be able to like with the logs you can like I guess process them, and the ores you collect from mining into like better materials. You can like create items in the workshop. And a kitchen, so with the various food fishes that you collect, you can now cook food. Kind of like this is like a very bare bone mushroom. You see it doesn't add much hunger or thirst to our bios, but once you like cook food, like better food, and make the food system and stuff more interesting. And for the studies, as you're the player, you can read, learn about certain things. So learn about certain like forest items, learn about ores, which will allow you to craft maybe new items and also discover new fishes and new ores.
Knowledge.
In your inventory now you have a crafting panel. You can now like craft 10 sticks into a bundle of sticks. But since we don't have that asset, we're gonna display the log here. So you can now craft the items. And then in your workshop, we're gonna have like more, making a fence, making tools. So with the vein, you process them into ores, and then you process them into like, I guess, bars. And then with them, you can start crafting, like iron tools, copper tools. Yeah, so that will help you with the mining, with your farm work, with your fishing. So we have somewhat like a blueprint of how the gameplay will be. So you wake up, you do tasks, whether it's for money, food, you get tired, you go home, you sleep next day, and then you do it all again. And you can accumulate food, and then with that, you can like do some other tasks like fishing, mining. And with that, you can collect materials, which you can sell, but also use it to craft more tools to like make your task easier. It's just like a modifier. You do mining like faster, or you might have a better chance at finding better ores, things like that. Yeah, so far the story is written up to a point where I guess before it's just like a bunch of like visual novel, right? You talk to Kay, you talk to Thomas, and you kind of learn tasks, like kind of hand holding, like tutorial feel like. But we've written up to like a point where the player can kind of, I guess, are free to like do whatever they want. There's a lot of options we can do. So like obviously I'm gonna like polish up the dialogues and make it so that you actually unlock these like bit by bit. Then we're gonna do the town expansion. Right, so far you're kind of locked into this area, you can't leave. With town expansion, we're gonna add blacksmithing, shops, the tavern, the adventurers guild. Oh, that I'm really excited to work with. So like you can go like adventuring, like dungeons. So that would be like, I don't know, some kind of like RPG system. You can craft like armor, tool, like, yeah, just that will be probably like way later down the line. So right now we're gonna like polish the system we have right now, make sure it works properly. Like there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, first of all, we don't even have like assets in. That sums up, I guess, the progress we made so far. Now we're gonna get onto the story time. During these 2 months, we pretty much just took a 6 weeks break. Life just happened, I guess. Once I stopped working, everyone stops working, like bunch of lazy ass bitches. Yeah, so I mean, whatever, everyone got a vacation. We got somewhat a semblance of like time and like economy, kind of. Thinking of economy balance, it's something I care a lot about, but it takes time and like many iterations and polish to make it really not necessarily realistic, but fun and interactive and not broken. Balancing the economy is hard itself, but luckily we do have someone, and that's me. I've done these balancing systems before, but back then it was like there was like specific rules and boundaries that I was given to follow. So I can easily set like a baseline, how certain things are. But now doing the whole system yourself, it's just, you don't even know where to begin, right? So for example, right, how valuable should a mushroom be? We don't even have a constant for that. So like how often can you search for a mushroom? How rare is the mushroom? Right? So we didn't even have like the time system. We didn't even have, foraging like we do now back then. So we literally cannot put a value to mushroom because we literally can't know how common or rare the mushroom is, right? And same with like plants. How long does it take for a chicken to hatch an egg, right? Is it 1 day? Is it 2 days? So that can literally like double, triple the value of what we imagine for like an egg, right? So we have all these systems, eventually we gotten the systems in, but it's still like an impossible state. Like we cannot balance anything because we literally don't know anything. So that was like really stressful. And like thinking about how to balance it will just like get us nowhere, right? We can think about imagine things all day, but once we get into implementing, we could be like, oh, you know, having like chicken hatch an egg a day is not realistic, or like whatever we decide, you know, in the future, we change, like maybe we change how foraging works, right? It would just be like completely like change how we're doing the designs and like value of each individual item. So that's gonna be like a mess. So then I figured, you know, instead of like balancing the economy first, we should actually get these, like, you know, like each individual activities in and figure out how these activities should be handled. You know, so while doing that, you know, we also did the biosystem. So far, like all the food items, it's obviously it's also not balanced at all. So, and how much is like a meal, right? So if you work for 1 hour, like how many meals can you have? So with that, I kind of, you know, you can like create a whole economic system and like how good a world is based on like how much work you have to do to sustain yourself, pretty much. And the player gets like pretty freebies. They get to live for free with Kate, and I don't know, a lot of freedom. Maybe I'll have them like pay rent sometime down in the future. Like who knows, right? And so yeah, that the whole items and economy is just like a whole lot to think about and balance. Thinking about it now is less of a headache, but you can think of it back then when, you know, we don't have the bios, we don't have the actual activities. It was just a mess, right? Literally, it's like so overwhelming, like all these like things we had to do. So this is what our work UI used to look like. I said I wanted something to indicate, you know, because obviously we can't show how much time is left, right? Because the player should not like have a certain, like they will not know the time of day for sure. So how are we going to convey that? And also, how are we going to convey like how much time? So I thought of, you know, like something like a progress bar, like anything. So I passed this thought to like our UI guy, and they come up, right, with a candle burning system. So the candle is full, that's like one hour, and you know, half a candle is like half an hour. You can see how much time you have left, and it's also like remains ambiguous. And it also kind of does what I want to, which is to like segment this game panel with our I guess rewards panel, so it divides it nicely. And this is also like thematically correct, you know, like back then, you know, in like medieval times, there is no like literally like a clock or like tell time. Like people use like the sundial, people use water, people use candle. So this like literally fits thematically. Okay, the only problem I have is, you know, candle was like pretty expensive back then. Like most people just use water, but you know, with the water dropping does not convey well enough. You know, it's something I just had to like live with. And yeah, so that's like what? That's like 1 stone, like 4, 5, like 6 birds. So I was like, wow, this is like amazing. And I was very happy with this. So our UI guy was like, yo, this is a good idea. You know, they asked for a raise. Do you think they deserve a raise for coming out with this candle burning idea? Type 0 if you think no raise. Type 1 if you think raise. Type 2 if you think they should be fired. You know, speaking of firing, honestly, if we should fire anyone, we should fire the video editor, because our last video literally gotten like no views. The video editor must have done a terrible job. We can't use the Stardew chickens. So I'm like to our drawer, can you like make us a chicken, right? So that we can like put it in the game. And I kid you not, this is what I received. Oh nah, what's my name? This is just not up to Tabinosei standards. I mean, look at the legs. I don't think that's like even colored, right? It's just like, what the hell, man? Obviously, we can't use this. So, I mean, you probably noticed we have not gotten any new assets because our drawer is completely cooked, right? So, if they don't get their shit together, you know, I don't know like how long this is gonna delay us. I already said like I hoped we're gonna release this by like the end of the year. We're not gonna make it in time. Okay, like it's gonna be like, it has to be sometime next year. And depending on how much you want to polish it, Obviously, I want to get people to play test it as well. So it's not going to be like 100% polished, but I don't want to be like ass, right? And I want to make sure all the assets we have are ourselves, home baked. We have a lot of the system in, but they're so dependent and it's like literally crying for assets. By the looks of it, I might have to make the assets myself, which, you don't want to know the last time I touched the pencil. Back then, I somewhat have an idea of what kind of like object means and like instances. So to kind of preface, so before we had like, you see this thing, right? This menu. So before, what I had was, I had like this bag and like this panel here, like present the whole time inside the room. The way I toggle them is to like, I just make them like invisible. It's pretty bad. It was also like pretty buggy and broken. But now, this bag is responsible for like creating this actual bag, and then this button is responsible for creating this. So now when I toggle this off, or if my bag is closed, like this whole panel is destroyed instead of being like invisible in the background, same as the bag. So before, I would just have like a bunch of like literally like objects, like it would literally just go down the list, right? Because the button, the panel. But now like these panels and buttons create each other, which is really cool. And it's also like kind of like gets rid of trash, so like it cleans things up nicely, so like this thing is not like doesn't exist in the background like the whole time. And it also prevents bugs, right? So all the buggy mess is like also like fixed. And to kind of explain like an analogy, I don't know, a carpenter. So the carpenter is the bag. So the carpenter now crafts, they create this bag UI. And then inside the bag UI, there's another carpenter which creates this crafting panel, right? So at any time, this chair that the carpenter makes can be destroyed. But as long as the carpenter is there, they can create another chair, right? Instead of what we're doing back then, the carpenter makes the chair invisible. So for example, right, I can show you like a remnant of the crafting code I left on purpose. So as you can see, right now I just simply call, the object to destroy itself. But back then I would have like a Boolean statement called like, oh, is it visible? Turn it off, turn it not visible. It's just like a huge mess. There was a huge section about me going insane that I was asked to re-record some of it because it sounded incoherent. And I was like, yeah, like TMI, like just take it out. And I mean, who isn't a little crazy nowadays? And that isn't a Joker reference. And honestly, I think my drink might have been spiked. Because not the first time it happened, but it will for sure be the last.
Guess who had a drink again? That's right. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? It's been 8 hours and I'm doing fine. So I will do it again next week just to make sure nothing sus is going on. And while we're here, I just want to add we have a Trello board now. So things are getting cringe. Maybe instead of doing like constant video updates, we'll do something like blog, like notes, kind of like Yandere simulator, like WordPress. And also like shout out to if-else statements. There's literally nothing wrong with if-else statements. It's the bread and butter of programming. And one of my favorite functions I learned recently is condition, question mark, and colon. I think this is like stolen from like JavaScript or something, but pretty cool.
We're probably not gonna do another development log in a while because we're gonna just a lot of boring things, I guess, like for you guys to hear, balancing the items or whatever, and making assets. Like that's just gonna take a lot of time. So, and next week is like, the holidays, so everyone's gonna like do their stuff, so we can't get everyone here. So that's why we're making this video to kind of like end off the year early. Happy New Year's and happy Christmas. Hope to see you guys next year as well. Thanks for watching. Till next time.